everyone, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Araia. I'm also known as Araia Makeup on social media. Just to give you a bit of a background, I'm a local makeup artist here in Ottawa, Canada, mainly doing bridal makeup and a few events, but throughout the year I've received so many requests from clients, from friends and family, from even strangers alike who've suggested that I start a YouTube channel, and so here we are. So I won't babble too much, we'll get right into this video. If you've seen the title, it's a question and answers video. I'm sure a lot of you were hoping that it would be a tutorial, but I just thought for the first video it would make sense to do a question and answer video based on makeup related things, just because throughout the year I received so many questions from you all through Facebook or Instagram inbox, just asking me different things regarding makeup, but you tend to all ask me pretty well the same types of questions, so I just thought it would make more sense for me to do a video based on the popular questions I'm getting regularly, so that there's a reference point, someplace that you guys can all come to get those answers. So without further ado, I will get started with the question and answers video. Now I will be looking down a lot to consult my phone because I put the questions on there. Now, for those of you who follow me, a little while back I posted a question asking those of you who have any questions or inspirations for my next video to post it on there, and luckily it was in line with what I had in mind. So a few of you guys were asking for tips and tricks regarding different things, but that also matches up with the questions I get in my inbox, so I'll just collide the two things and it'll all make sense. Okay, so let's get right into it. The first question that I'm going to address is contouring tips. So I'm constantly asked for tips and tricks regarding contouring, how to do it. A lot of people are having difficulty with it. Now there is a slew of videos on YouTube right now by makeup gurus and artists alike on how to properly highlight and contour. I'm not actually going to show you how to do it. If that is something that you'd like me to do in a future video, please do let me know in the comment box below. I'm looking to produce whatever you guys are interested in seeing, so please do let me know. But what I will do is give you some tips on how to probably make your life easier when it comes to contouring, and a few products that I'm using that I like that maybe you could start trying out if you do like the contouring that I have on. So, oh god, this is actually not very easy. Okay, so the first thing I'll start off by saying is the tools that you use to do makeup is probably one of the most important things that you should have in your kit or in your bag, because I find in my personal and professional experience you could do an amazing job with high-end makeup and you can do an equally amazing job with drugstore makeup, and it really all just boils down to the types of stuff you're using to apply that makeup. So with that said, what I found works wonderfully for me when it comes to contouring in terms of tools is this brush right here. It's a little dirty just because I used it a few minutes ago, but this is the e.l.f. angled blush brush, and as you can see it's got an angled tip, and why that's actually good is when you're applying the powdered product, again this is for powdered, this is not what you would use for contouring with a liquid or cream concealer, but when you are using the powder products, this is the best brush I found because it is angled. You're really able to get into the hollows of your cheek. It just makes it super simple instead of using like a fat powder or blush brush where it's just sort of all over and then you're doing damage control with your concealer to make it all chiseled out. But this is the best in terms of getting a really chiseled, straight nice line in terms of contouring. So this is the angled blush brush, and I know it says blush, and we often want to use tools that are specifically for what they, but honestly, I should probably put that on silent. But just because it says blush, or just because it says powder, or it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only thing that you can use it for. I find this works perfectly, and again, it's by e.l.f., which you really can't go wrong with e.l.f. because most of their products are super inexpensive, like super cheap. The only thing now, especially for my Canadian followers, is you'll notice that with the exchange rate right now, not that fun to order things from the US, and shipping sometimes can also be an issue, but definitely worth the splurge. I bought this like eons ago and it's still intact and it still works amazing. Definitely something to get. I think it was under $10 if I'm not mistaken. There are other companies who have adapted this, and I mean, these guys are not the first to start it, but you can find this type of angled dense brush made by MAC, made by Sigma. So don't worry if you don't want to order online, you can definitely find it somewhere, but I highly recommend getting an angled brush, and that way you get a really super precise line. So definitely something to pick up. The next thing on contouring is, I'm personally not a huge fan of doing the cream contour and then topping it up with powder. And I only say that because I like to do, well, in my opinion, what's more natural looking looks. To a degree, I just find like if I'm going to a wedding or something where I really need my contour to pop and I really want, you know, that really super chiseled look, then I'll do the cream contour first and then top it up with a powder. You always need, rule of thumb here, you always need to top up a cream with a powder so that it's set. But if you're just doing a powder, then you don't need an added step, and I just personally like that. If it's just for an everyday or something super casual that I don't really need to, then I'll just do the powder. But if I'm taking a picture, if this is a big deal, I'm going somewhere special, then I'll do both. So you would put the cream contour, you could use your hands, you can use a concealer brush, you could use a foundation brush, and then you would blend it out. You could use a beauty blender to do that, and then top up with a bit of powder, and then use your angled brush just over top of it, and then it's set, won't go anywhere. So that's in terms of tool. So the types of powders that I'm using right now for contouring. So for today, I'm using this here. Excuse me. It's the it's called Blunt, and it's by MAC. It's a blush. It looks really light, I know. That's partially because of the lighting that I'm using right now to videotape, but it works really well. As you can see, I've got it on right now. I can't really use this in the summertime when I start to tan a little bit. It doesn't show up as well. I'll show you what I use in a second, but I use this on myself. I use this on clients that are slightly darker than me. I also use this color on clients that are several shades lighter than me, and it works on all of us. So definitely if you're within that range, a little bit here, a little there, you'll want to pick up Blunt. It's really nice. Little goes a long way. And although it's a blush, in the blush category for MAC, I use it as a contour, and it works really well. So again, in the hollows of the cheek, I do it around my forehead. Gives me nice warmth here, just on the jawbone, underneath my neck a little bit. And I love this during the winter, fall seasons of the year. It works really well. But when I do get tan, I do need something that'll show up a little more, something a bit darker. And this here is a contour kit by Sleek Cosmetics, or sorry, Sleek Makeup. They are I think a company based out in the UK. I ordered this online, of course. It was at the time the only, I bought this a few years ago, but it was the only contour kit that I could find that was dark enough for me in the summertime and it would actually show up. If I was to use this color right now, I think it'd be too dramatic of a contour, and I'm not looking for that. But in the summertime when I do get a little bit darker, this is what I use. You get the contour and a bit of the goldish highlight as well. This was also very inexpensive for a kit. I can't remember what I spent on it. I did buy it a few years ago, but I love it. So for those of you who are several shades darker than me, you'll definitely want to pick this up because it's a really, really nice shade for contouring. It's called Face Contour Kit in the color Dark 886. And I mean, I've used this for quite some time and I still haven't hit pan on it. It little goes a long way, especially because it's very pigmented. So yeah, it's by Sleek Makeup. You can find them online. They are based out on in the UK, but I like this color for darker clients or for myself when I do tan up a little bit. So that's contouring in a nutshell. It's really based on the stuff that you use. It can make your life easier or a little more difficult, but getting an angled brush, getting a powder and a cream that works for your skin tone, and just knowing where to contour, and if you're looking where to contour or how it should be done specifically, you know, what the steps are supposed to be. If that's something that interests you, please do let me know. I am interested in making more videos, so if you do want to see something on highlighting and contouring, then please do let me know. So let's move on to the next question, which is obviously highlighting. So in terms of highlighting, I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you guys. I don't highlight too often, and it's like I don't do anything. But the reason behind that is because I have naturally oily skin, well, between combination to oily depending on the time of the year it is. But what I find is that sometimes with the maybe it could be the highlighter I'm using at times or what have you, but I find that it gives you the appearance, or for me anyway, of oily skin at times, depending on where I place it, and I don't care for it as much. So again, unless I'm going somewhere important or a wedding or something, then I won't really do too much highlighting. But where I do highlight is often on the brow bone, almost always, regardless of where I'm going. But you would be highlighting underneath the brow bone to make it pop, on the bridge of your nose, Cupid's bow, on the high points of your cheek. These are areas that you want to bring out, whereas contouring is, you know, areas that you want to bring in. That's the whole science to it. But yeah, all that to say, I don't really do all of that highlighting. If anything, I will definitely do it on my brow bones, but I won't do the whole 9, unless there's somewhere I've got to be. But when I do highlighting, with that said, these are the 2 products that I often reach for. The first is Sunbeam by Benefit. This is what it looks like. And what's really cool about it is its applicator. It actually has a brush-on applicator that goes on super well, and I love, 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 love the color. I just find with liquid highlighters, in my personal opinion, that I'm able to control the amount of highlighting, if that makes any sense. I just find sometimes with the powder, I'll brush a little bit on with a fan brush, put it on, and I'm like, oh, it's too much. And then I'm trying to do damage control by applying different things to tone it down a little bit. But this, a little goes a long way. You put a little dab where you need it, blend it out, perfect. And that's working for me. So definitely a really beautiful color, something to pick up if you love the whole highlighting thing. This will last you quite some time because literally you just need a drop of it, and then start applying, and then you would buff it out and it works perfectly. So I would definitely recommend this for people who are my color and darker, as well as slightly bit lighter. If for those of you who are a lot lighter, or even Caucasian women, I would not recommend this specific color. They do come in lighter shades when I bought it at that time anyway. So I would recommend you grabbing the lighter shades because this would be far too dark for you. But nonetheless, I love this product, and it's definitely a nice one for highlighting. The next one that I tend to use, I'm using it right now. I did the whole 9 just because I am videotaping, but I often don't do that much highlighting, is this right here. It's by MAC. I don't think you're able to see the color very well with the lighting, but it's called Arena. It's an eyeshadow. I know, weird, right? But actually, you're able to use eyeshadows. Well, I actually have used eyeshadows for highlighting and contouring several times. It's so much cheaper, and it really does the same thing. It has a beautiful, beautiful color to it. You apply it with a little eyeshadow brush even. You want to use a, what's the name of the brush? Whatever. You just want to use a brush that's fluffy brush. Put a little of the product on and put it on the bridge of your nose, high points of your cheek, just buff it out, and it actually looks beautiful. This color is really awesome. It's got a bit of shimmer to it, a bit of gold. It's awesome for people who are my skin tone, who are darker than me for sure, and even those that are slightly lighter. You'll really love this. And it also works, it doubles as a really nice eyeshadow color too, for weddings and whatnot. But you don't always have to go out and buy super expensive highlighters. Oftentimes eyeshadows work the exact same way, so they double as both eyeshadows and whatever else you want to make it into. Have fun with makeup. It doesn't just have to be what it's sold as. You can always find other purposes for it. So and it's the fraction of a cost. I think I spent like 12 bucks on it, 12 bucks for eyeshadow right now in Canadian dollars, that is. So yeah, definitely something to pick up, something to try out, and even if it doesn't work out for you for whatever crazy reason, you've got an eyeshadow that you can use. You don't have to use it as a highlighter, but it works well. So that is highlighting. That's what I use. That's what I've used on my clients, what I find has been working for me and them so far. So yeah, we'll move on to the next question. Covering dark circles. Yeah. So for mommies like me who get like 2 hours of sleep a day, this is a big one. I'll show you a few of the products that I use, and again, I'm not going to go through the techniques. Technique is really important when it comes to covering dark circles, so definitely something I will look into doing, because I can talk about it, but it doesn't it doesn't beat showing you how to do it exactly. I mean, there's tons of videos out there, but technique is everything when it comes to covering up dark circles. So the first thing that I'll mention is moisturizing underneath your eyes. Super important. If you saw a post that I posted on both Facebook and Instagram, and on Instagram, at one point, I was talking about eye creams. Eye creams are super, super important, more so important for women who are over the age of 25. Those of us who are in our mid to late 20s often think that we don't need eye creams, that it's only when you've got wrinkles, but contrary to that idea, you should be starting as early as 25 to prevent what's to come. And it's just also super important to moisturize underneath your eyes, because the skin underneath our eyes is a lot thinner than the rest of our face, and often can be a lot drier, which is why you start getting creasing sometimes when you're applying concealer there. So super important to keep that area moisturized. If it's dry and you're applying super thick concealers underneath it, you almost always will get creasing. You can try your best to top it off with powder to keep the creasing at bay, but it makes a world of a difference if it's super moisturized underneath there. And you don't want to be using necessarily the same type of moisturizer that you're using on your face in that area. It's a very delicate area. You want to treat it that way. So you should be using an eye cream. It's something that's super moisturizing underneath the eye. So you get that done, let that sit and seep into your skin. Once that is done, the next step would be to put a corrector. So if you're suffering with dark circles around your eyes, or even around your mouth, which is a common problem with specifically East Africans, we deal with this a lot. I have a lot of East African clients and they're always asking me, you know, what do I do about these dark circles around my eyes and around my mouth? And this is what I often recommend, is using an orange colored corrector. It doesn't have to be this specific one, which I'll get into in a second, but there's tons of companies who are making it right now. You can find one by NYX or NYX. You can find them at MAC. You can find them pretty well anywhere, but you want to find a corrector that is orange, because the whole science behind that is orange actually cancels out the darkness. So you would then, before you put on your foundation, you would apply it underneath your eyes. Now be very careful, because a little goes a long way, especially with this one. It's very pigmented, so you want to, what I usually do is put a little on my hand first, and then I'll use the brush applicator. This is why I like this one a lot more than the other cream ones I've seen around. It's got a brush applicator, so I'll pick it up from my hand and then apply it onto my eyes. Another reason why I put it on my hand is your hands are warm, so it warms up the product a little bit instead of directly putting it from the tube onto your skin. So I put it on my hand, let it warm up a little bit, apply it from my hand onto my eyes, and then I'll use a beauty blender to blend it out. Gotta make sure it's blended out, otherwise it'll show through a little bit. Again, I'll do the same thing around my mouth, and if I have any blemishes on my face, I'll use it there as well. Then I'll apply the foundation, and then I will apply the concealer. So what's super important about the concealer in terms of dark circles or darkness around the mouth is you need to find a concealer that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Full coverage. And the reason I say this is because you need to make sure, because it's so pigmented, and often the orange correctors are, you need to find something that will cover it up. And sometimes foundation alone is just not enough. So depending on how, you know, sheer or full coverage your foundation is. One of my favorite concealers right now in the liquid form, if you're into liquids, is the MAC Pro Longwear concealers. They're in a little tube, a little glass tube, I think, with a pump on it. That's awesome coverage. But what I also use, and what I've used today, is this right here. Oh, I'll try to get it to... so what this is MAC's Pro Conceal and Correct palette. What's super awesome about this is it comes in several ranges of colors, and the purpose of it is you've got your orange to correct, but you also have the lighter colors up top that you use to highlight underneath your eyes. That's the concealer that I would use. Sometimes I mix depending on the time of year it is. Again, if I'm darker, I'll need to use one of the darker colors, and then if I'm in the winter, I'll use some of the lighter colors, and then you usually have a dark color here, which you could use for your contouring, your cream contouring, and then the lighter colors depending on the time of year you can use to highlight your underneath your eyes. So this is a cream. It's very thick. It's very full coverage. But so is the Pro Longwear. It really just depends on preference. I just love this palette because it's got so many purposes, and for a makeup artist like myself, especially when it comes to clients, it really becomes a staple for me because I have different colors. I've got my corrector, I've got a color to contour. It's a little more expensive. I think it ranges right now at MAC for $45-ish. And that's Canadian dollars. I'm not sure what it is in the US or other parts of the world. And I think you can only find this at the pro stores. Like, you wouldn't be able to find this, I don't think. Things could have changed now. You'd have to get it at the pro store. Definitely worth the $45. It lasts a really long time because you only need a little bit. It's very super coverage. Little goes a long way. But it is handy because you do have your corrector there. You do have your contour there. You have your highlights as well. So that's what I use, or the liquid, which I don't have with me, but super easy to find. I think you can find it in any of the MAC stores, the Pro Longwear Concealer. Yeah, So that is pretty well it in terms of covering dark circles. Oh, and you'll always have to set it with powder. Like I said earlier in the video, whenever you're using cream, whenever you're using liquid, you always have to top it off with some kind of powder. That way it's not going to move. It sets it in place. And one of my all-time favorite powders that I use underneath my eyes after I've put the concealer on, not around my mouth, just around the eyes, is the Benai powders. Now, I couldn't seem to find the banana one that I often use. I use the color banana in the winter months. In the summer months when I'm a little darker, I actually end up using this, I mix this topaz color with the banana to get a color that works well with me, because the banana just ends up being a little too light, and the topaz on its own is just a little too dark. So I mix the two and I get the perfect shade. I find with makeup, especially because they, you know, for women of color, we don't often have colors that run into problems trying to find products that fit our color well. You'll often find yourself mixing with more than one thing. Even when I'm working on clients, I'm often mixing foundations, mixing concealers, because for the most part the industry hasn't got it 100% yet, and so in order to make it right, you have to mix more than one product. But you really don't need to buy both. I find that the banana powder really, if you're my skin tone and lighter, definitely you could use it throughout the year. Maybe one thing I could suggest for people who are my skin color, or my skin tone rather, in the summer months when you are a little more tan, I wouldn't bake with it for too long. Maybe put it on for a maximum of a couple seconds, maybe 15-20 seconds, and then brush it off. That way it's not too light and you've set your powder or set your concealer, it's done its job, and you still do get a bit of the highlighting underneath your eyes. And those of you who are lighter don't really need to worry about it. It works all year round for you. For those of you that are darker than I am, topaz, the color topaz is a really nice color you'll find throughout the year. And so if you want more of a highlight underneath your eyes, just let it set, or bake is the term, underneath your eyes for a little longer, and then you're brushing it off, the excess off, and you'll really, really, really like the finish. It's super fine, a super fine powder. And it's by Benai. Really, 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 really love his products. Where you can actually, I actually buy these online on a site called Cinema Secrets, because I was having trouble finding it locally here, although I was told recently that there is a place here that sells costumes, that also sells the Benai stuff, because Benai does a lot of stuff for theater and that, so it made sense that they sold it there. If you are interested and you live here in the Ottawa area, let me know. Leave a comment below and I can send you the name of the store that potentially carries this. I don't know if they still do, but at one point they did. And Benai came out with a full range of colors in terms of the setting powder, the translucent powder. I've tried the Laura Mercier one, and I'm gonna try it again just because there's still so much hype about it, but on my first try I didn't really like it. It didn't really work with my skin tone. I found that I still had this white cast, even though I didn't let it bake for too long. I often don't. I didn't care for it, especially for the price. I think it's like 50 or 60 bucks for a small thing, whereas I got a huge jug for my clients of the that I use for my clients of the banana powder, and I think I spent maybe $30 or $40 max for this huge jug of it. These guys were fairly inexpensive, and a little goes a long way. It lasts you a really long time, and the results are awesome. So I'm a Benai fan, but I will try Laura Mercier again just because there's still so much hype about it. Maybe I did something wrong, or maybe I tried it in the summer when I should have tried it in the winter. Who knows? So moving on. Yeah, applying lashes is the last question here. I'll talk a little about that. Now, Applying lashes is probably, in my opinion, one of the most difficult things when it comes to makeup to master. I'm still at times struggling to put lashes on, so it's not easy. So don't feel discouraged. It definitely takes several practices to be able to do it on yourself. It's a lot simpler to do it on someone else, but on yourself, just keep at it. So in terms of glue, I found the Duo glue the best so far. Actually, it is really good for the price that you pay for it, but there is one by House of Lashes that I've tried. They're clear one as well. It's got a brush-on applicator. I love that for brides. So if you're looking for something that'll last you like 12, 15 hours, you know you're going to be out the whole day, you're part of a wedding or something along that line, then I would so recommend you getting it. I always use it on my brides because I've never received a complaint about the lash detaching when I've used that glue. This is pretty good. Definitely a runner-up. But if I know that I just need it for a few hours, I often use this. It's still really good for the price that you pay for it. I've tried other ones aside from the two, the Duo and the one by House of Lashes. I haven't found anything else that I like or that's stuck on like it promised. You can find the Duo glue pretty well anywhere. I think you can find it at Walmart, for sure drugstores. I think MAC was selling it at one point if they're not still doing so. It comes on clear when you put it on. Let me just grab these here. So it comes on clear, so it comes on as really white, like a pasty looking color. But with time, once you've applied it, it ends up drying clear. You don't need a lot. I find if you put too much, then it sometimes still leaves a bit of a white residue. Nothing that you couldn't cover with eyeliner or anything, but in order to avoid having to do that, just make sure you're putting just enough to cover the base of the lash. So in terms of products, Duo, definitely a recommendation. If you're looking for something that will always last you like 12-15 hours, for sure, go onto the House of Lashes website and grab their clear eyelash glue. And so in terms of putting it on, I found one tool that really helps me get it done quickly and perfectly almost every single time. Again, comes down to the tools, is this guy here. Hope you can see that. If you could see, the top here is shaped almost like a U. And so what you would do, geez, I had that, okay, is you would take your lashes and you would grab it so that the base is exposed. Never mind how dirty it is, it's old. You would apply the glue, and one thing that people often forget is that they'll go ahead and apply it right away. You need to blow on it or fan it out a little bit. It needs to get tacky. If you're just putting it on directly immediately after you have put on the glue, you haven't given it enough time to get tacky, so it often will move around or it won't sit well, or sometimes it'll even fall off if you put it on too soon. Give it about 20-30 seconds of airing it out or blowing on it. Once you've seen that the glue has started to become tacky, then you can apply it. And I find just this tool makes it so much simpler to put on rather than using my fingers or even using tweezers. I find just the way that it's shaped, you would put your fingers here, and the way that the top grabs onto the base of the base of the lash, it makes applying it super simple. Another tip that might help you guys is using a mirror. If you use a mirror looking down and then try to apply, you've got a lot more room than trying to do it looking up. It just works so much better. So those are my tips in terms of lashes. Just keep working at it. Get something like that. I got that at a website called, I think, I Love Lashes. I'll double check. I'll put the link to the website below. It was super inexpensive as well, just a couple of dollars, but get something like that, use a mirror, get a really good glue, and you should be fine. So that's it for tips and tricks our question and answer video has come to an end. If you do have any other questions, anything I haven't addressed in this video that's makeup related, or if you needed something clarified further, please do feel free to ask it below. I will get back to you. You can still send me messages on Instagram or on Facebook. I will leave my Facebook and Instagram name at the end of this video. But I do thank you for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. There's so much more planned, so much more to come. If you guys have any types of videos that you want me to do, please, please, please do let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. For those of you who've been supporting me up until now, thank you so much for your love and support. Without you guys, this isn't possible, so thank you for the motivation. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next video.